I just want to say for like the last couple weeks, just really proud of our process, really proud of the offensive staff digging into, next man up mentality and getting these guys trained the right way. I think, the obvious thing out there is like Rico's production in the last 2 weeks and how well we've done on the run, running the ball and how that's opened up the pass game. But the little stories behind it of having backup O-linemen ready, backup tight ends ready when guys go down, having Rico ready, Trevor ready, all these guys being prepared is just a testament to our coaches and a testament to our teaching style, just making sure that we're pouring into every individual in our rooms and then conceptually teaching so when the guy doesn't get the rep, he at least understands what we're trying to accomplish. So I think that's kind of, all the production that's happened is kind of a microcosm of, just the direction we're going and the way we're teaching, and just really commend all of our coaches and all of our players buying into that.
All right, we'll kick things off with Mike K, followed by Cass.
All right.
Hey, Brad. Good morning.
Hey, Mike.
With how run-centric you guys have been over the last couple of weeks, how has Jimmy Horn's presence as a deep threat helped you guys kind of show the opposing defense a look that could, help with that run game?
Yeah, when you're stagnant running the ball, everybody's gap sound and they get to kind of evaluate and shoot their gaps and read things out. When you add a little bit of a lateral speed from Jimmy, I think it becomes apparent really quickly that those gaps change on the fly. And then when you hand it to him a couple times and you have play passes off of it, they also have coverage responsibilities added to that, which changes on the fly. So that speed element that Jimmy's done a great job with really just it kind of expands the second level of the defense for us in both phases. I don't know what the stat is. I think it was a couple more yards per rush when Jimmy's in some sort of motion. And that's just a testament to what the defense has to honor. And that's why we love having that element in our offense. He's done a great job with it, owning it. And it's a good things come to those who run. And then he was rewarded with a nice little rail route the previous game and, a little overlap coverage there. And Bryce was able to find him. So it's just a huge element to our offense in both phases, and really, really happy to have it going.
You brought up the reward kind of doing your job away from the ball. Tommy Tremble and Mitchell Evans have done a really good job blocking over the last few weeks. Does that present an opportunity where, they're on the field, but and the defense is seeing two blockers there, but they can also make plays in the passing game? Do you want to reward them from a target standpoint when you see them playing as well as they're blocking?
Absolutely. And I'll throw James Mitchell in there too. Just as, we've been waiting for JT to come back. All three of those guys, they capture an attitude that Pat wants to bring, Pat McPherson wants to bring in that tight end room. And they take a lot of pride in it, just the blocking in and of itself. But yeah, we have ways to combat it. Look at Tommy's catch in the fourth quarter there. That's they start crashing the C gap. I'm always telling Pat, I'm like, hey, let me know when they're crashing the C gap. Let me know when they're really trying to spill your cross sift blocks and they're trying to get violent, against our tight ends and set edges. We have all of the complements we need for those plays. And that came to life in a crucial moment for us when Tommy decided to do one of his, patented karate kicks down the sideline. That's a testament to the blocking that he had, going for him leading up to that point where they got to stop the run. They got to, crash a gap. And then Tommy's able to chuck him aside and get a flat route and a catch and run.
My turn. Hi, Brad. How's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Good. This is not what I wanted to ask, but you just set me up for this. Do y'all film review Tommy's hurdles and karate kicks as well?
We evaluate everything, and as long as he needs to keep the ball in tight when he's doing it. But I did bring up to him, Antonio Brown got flagged for that a couple of years back doing that on a punter. So as long as he's trying to truly hurdle someone and he's protecting the ball, we want him to protect himself as well. There's a little bit of a chuckle when he tries it because I think it's kind of in his blood to give it a shot. But he's also got a couple really good looks at finishing through defenders by lowering his shoulder. So I think there's a compliment there of he knows that some DBs are going to want to go low on him, and he's got the athleticism to go over the top. But as long as he's protecting himself and protecting the ball, we're going to make sure that he's got the discernment of when to do that.
Love it. Okay, now actual question. Y'all have kind of dominated teams in the fourth quarter over the last few weeks. Bryce's numbers especially have been really good in the fourth quarter. I know Dave always preaches finish, but from your perspective on the sidelines, is it something about guys clicking in? Is it just knowing that it's the fourth? Like, what is it that has really been working in that quarter?
Yeah, focus and refocus. So early in the season, we were working on, let's come out the gates with true focus going into a game. And then when bad things, when something unexpected, not necessarily bad, when something unexpected happens, whether it's good, explosive play down the field and we got to refocus, or, it's a turnover or a sudden change situation, we have to refocus. That's been we've been putting our thumb down on that culturally on the offensive side of the ball, since the start of the season. And those guys have really bought into it. So, and it starts at practice, the tempo in and out of the huddle, moving on to the next play, just really clicking them back in. When you go back into that huddle, it is a new page. And all those guys have really bought into it. Bryce is a consummate leader of that because of his personality, and one of his best traits is how cool he is under pressure, and how he can just stay even keeled even in the biggest moments. And that inspires those guys to refocus, click back in. It brings out a maturity in the players of, okay, you can celebrate a success, but now we know we're back in the huddle, we're clicking back in, and you can see the look in Bryce's eye when he's calling the play. All right, hey guys, I need you here with me. Let's get to this next call and this next situation. What's the circumstances? What's the context? Let's move on.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Darren Gant, followed by David Newton.
Brad, you talked about all the changes you guys have dealt with the offensive line in particular. Does the call sheet, or how does it evolve or change or adapt when you've got Yosh in there instead of Timo, or Brady instead of Rob Hunt, specific to the personnel?
Yeah, I think there's certain things, Dave's touched on it, we're a mid-zone running team. There's certain things that we want to hang our hat on, and then protect it with other, complementary schemes, gap schemes I brought up last week, just how those have been efficient the last couple weeks. But it's honestly, you don't always know until you see the live reps of what schemes complement, the players you have on the field the most. So we're going to carry a variety going into every game week. And then until you see how the defense is trying to combat it and what your guys are fitting right and pointing right and operating on the same page together with, then you get to go and hit those repeat play calls, protect it up and try to run it again a different way. As long as we have that variety in the game plan, we can kind of see where the game takes us. And that's really fun for us as coaches, to be able to present a bunch of different schemes to players, teach it the right way, the conceptual teaching that everybody's on board with what we're trying to do, and then watch where the game takes you, right? You hit the early downs to try to see how they're combating certain elements of your offense, and then okay, let's go back to the well on this one. Goody, Dean, and Joe Gilbert are always talking about the runs, like, hey, this one hit. Don't be afraid to come back to this one in between series, asking for top 3 runs. And a lot of those are, hey, this one hit, ready to come back to it, or maybe it's too early, let this one settle and then come back to it later. I just love that part of the game. And I love where our coaches are at with their communication and making sure, hey, this is what they're kind of showing us how we need to attack this defense.
Yeah. You mentioned Jimmy earlier. With Hunter Renfrow, how rare is it to have a guy who doesn't get targeted a ton and you don't mind throwing to on a 4th down?
Absolutely. That's just a testament to who Hunter is, a true pro. Brought it up in front of the team on Monday. Is like, hey, here's a guy who statistically you would see it'd be a little bit quieter of a day, and then now in the biggest moment we need him. 2 weeks prior, that was Jimmy, right? So 4th down, and he goes to Jimmy. That's the same exact response to what we were just talking about with the run game. See where the game takes you. Our guys have to focus and refocus and be ready for when the game takes it to them. When they are the target based on what the defense is giving you, you have to be ready. So that maturity of our players to be able to click back in every single play and say, this is my snap. this is my play, the ball's coming my way, and then trusting that Bryce will read it out correctly based on what the defense is giving it, and trust the guy to go make the play.
Thanks, Brad.
Yep.
Hey, Brad, good morning.
Good morning, Dave.
Want to go back to Jimmy. You mentioned about the average a couple more yards a game. A play when he's in motion. Can you elaborate on that and what you're seeing and how teams are reacting to him when he's in the game?
Yeah, just the lateral speed in general. Anytime you hand it off to him and he circles the defense for 5+. He had a couple good ones last week on in a round, and then you hand him a jet sweep. That loosens up the edges a little bit. So it protects Tommy, it protects Mitch and James, who are trying to work the edges, or the backside blocks that are falling, the backside players that are falling in on the backside of our zone schemes. All of those guys now have to take a second to say, okay, are they handing this one? And then now I can go and engage the linemen. So for us, it's putting guys in position for potential pin blocks. It's putting guys in jet sweeps with legitimate speed and legitimate threat, like we've done with Jimmy, Xavier, and all those guys. And then our O linemen taking advantage of the second they're hesitating. That gives you another little window of opportunity to close that space, get your hands on them, and reset the line of scrimmage. And they've done a phenomenal job at it.
And what have you learned about the offense that maybe Dowdle brought to it, or whatever, the last couple of weeks when Chuba's been out? What have you learned about this offense that you didn't really know before it needed?
It's just that, again, like they have similar characteristics, Rico and Chuba, and the way they finish their runs. But we can't be afraid to just go as the player tells us as well what he's reading out right. I think I mentioned it a couple weeks ago. Tight zone wasn't necessarily something that is first off of Chuba's list of what he'd like. He'd like the gap scheme in the mid zone, and he really got groomed in it as we went through last year and came into this year. But then Rico is like tight zone sift. We ran it a couple times, and it allows him to get downhill. So different elements of what they like as a runner, and then what they're showing in a game. Maybe Rico cuts it back faster than Chuba would, or maybe there's easier to get to bounce reads for one guy versus the other. Well, those play calls will come up when those backs are in the game. And we'll try to complement to what they're showing us on the field. Of those, they're very small differences, but we're still going to carry enough of a full game plan of complementary schemes where we just kind of wait and see how are the runs hitting based on these guys and based on the defense, and then what can we continue to call to emphasize that.
Is that something y'all didn't see before, or it got amplified once Rico got in there?
No, I just think it's time on task with the guys up front. They've been resetting the line of scrimmage, doing a good job of creating efficient runs, and then just continuing to pound the rock. Like, we got a great chance to be in games early. It wasn't like the first couple weeks where we were shooting ourselves in the foot. So when you're in games early and you're running complementary football, run, pass, and playing with the defense, they're getting us stops. It allows us to play the game we want to play, and that's just a balanced attack. And then guys being efficient and explosive in both phases. It just opens the play call sheet for you, and that's kind of what's happened the last 2 weeks. It's been fun to watch.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep.
We have time for a couple more. We'll go with Jeff Hawkins, followed by Joe Person.
Good morning, Coach.
Morning, Jeff.
Hey, I think it's fair to suggest that Bryce has proved something to the team and coaching staff over the last two, fourth quarter wins. Now, like life in the NFL, he must prove himself all over again by winning on the road. How important is it for Bryce to avoid early turnovers and establish a good early rhythm? Yeah,
I mean, the ball is everything for us. So, just the momentum that you carry of marching the ball down the field, being efficient with it. In those games that we haven't turned the ball over, we have gone down the field and put points on the board, and it just sets you off on the right foot for both sides of the ball. So we put a huge onus on, protecting the ball at all times, but then early on, you also just want to create some good momentum for your offense and your defense, of keeping them off the field early. They got, a quick drive stop last game, and then we're able to march down the field, even though we don't finish in the end zone. It just feels like you're setting the momentum for the game. So yeah, it's huge. It's huge. Protect the ball, but then also be efficient and know that there's going to be shots involved in there, and know when to take them. And if the defense is playing top down, there were some great looks at check downs that he got to really quickly there in the first quarter. We were getting down in the red zone. He checks that ball. We ran Bryson on a little insert sail route, and then he checked that ball down to Rico really quickly because the defense got under it, and there's a gain of 13. So knowing when to hold them, knowing when to fold them is a huge thing. And sometimes early on, defense want to play top down. The check downs will get you yards too.
Hey, thanks. Good luck.
Yep, thank you.
Brad, good morning. I was a couple minutes late. Have you been asked about scheming against Steve Wilks already?
No, not yet. This would be it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming when you were in Seattle and maybe else or Tampa even, not sure. But anyway, what's your background going against his defenses, and what do you think you might see Sunday?
Yeah, he was actually here when we were in Seattle. I think also Arizona, and then we played him in Tampa as well. So we've got good experience of going against this defense. He's got exotic pressures in situational football that pop up, and it's not necessarily just the obvious downs when it comes up. So you have to have your rules in check. If you're going to have a drop back pass in, you have to have your rules in check for some of his Abbey fronts, some of his overloads, and then the all out pressures. You see Dallas hit him on one. If you have your rules in check, and there's space on the field to complete some balls and have your athletes in space. For us, not going to divulge the plan, but we've got experience in how to attack, the back half as long as your rules are in check up front. And we just went over the third down protection plan with Joe Gilbert this morning. The guys are on it. They're locked in. That's a huge piece of Bryce's preparation in the week, making sure that we're solidified up front so we know when we can take our shots and when we need to get that ball out quick to the perimeter to get our athletes in space.
I think Dave said there's been a little less of that exotic pressure from the Jets this year under Wilks. What are you seeing kind of in place of that?
Yeah, sometimes you see a little bit of the mix of what Aaron Glenn brings from Detroit, dropping down a jam and just playing press man. They got two physical, handsy corners outside. I think their nickel's coming back this week, potentially. He does a great job. Brownlee also does a great job playing physical at the line of scrimmage. So there's going to be some coupled in there. It's going to come up when they play press across the board. They bring five, and they want to play single high man. And that comes up in all situations as well. Might not be where they want to live in the whole game. But, again, you got to have your answers when you're building concepts and saying, hey, guys, we're expecting to run this first 3 week. We're expecting to run this first quarters. But when it's man, this is how you win the route. And this is where the quarterback's eyes need to go. You need to have a sense of urgency for when they're playing more grimy press man.